TE Talks with Guides is a weekly podcast for lovers of history, travel, and all things Italian. Welcome back, everybody, to TE Talks, sponsored by Through Eternity Tours. I'm your host, Rob Allen, and on TE Talks, we get to talk with some of the most fascinating people who make a living out of being wonderful storytellers. If you enjoyed this podcast and some of our others, please remember to write a review and give us maybe a 5-star rating. It's extremely helpful to get the word out and let other people know about who we are and what we do. Today, we are going to talk about one of my favorite subjects in Italy with one of my favorite guides. Andrea is back after doing a lovely podcast with us about Pompeii. Ciao, Andrea. How are you?
Buongiorno. Hi. Hello to everybody. I'm fine, Rob. And you?
I'm very good. I always forget how you have such a wonderful use with your voice because you are an actor. So
it's very deep, you know.
Yes, that's right. Well, I just woke up in the morning here, so my voice, I think, could actually be a little deeper. I've been compared to Amanda Lear from time to time, but people don't know who that is. Look her up. She's quite fascinating. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about Naples.
Yes, my own
something
town.
That is very close
Absolutely.
to my heart, and of course is also very close to yours. So why don't we talk a little bit about it? Andrea, tell us what makes Naples so unique, so special in your opinion?
In my opinion, Naples, it's a place of art. It's not a common city. It's a place in which, if you want to understand what we are talking about, you have to come and you have to see. That's the first things. But what makes different from the other places? Think about other big town in Italy, like Florence or like Milano or like Rome. They are wonderful. They are fantastic. Each town in Italy, I think, they are absolutely unique. But the very big difference in this place where I live is that, for example, the most part of the historical centers in other cities, they are places in which more or less rich people are living. And so in a certain way, you can go, you can visit, you will be fascinated, but at the same time, probably you will feel like a tourist. Here, when you go to the historical center, till now, I hope it's not going to change, you will see that around you, you have just Neapolitans. That means that the people are still living in the same identical buildings from centuries and centuries, and it's not yet just a place for tourists. I'm not saying that the others, they are a place for tourists, but I mean, there are some change, you know, in the mass tourism. In Naples, this is not yet affected. So if you like a place, a vibrant place, a place with a soul, and especially a place that could affect you, so it's impossible that you could be indifferent to the city in a good and a bad way. I mean, people are here, they'll come here and they say, oh, this is a little bit too much. This is very noisy. This is very chaotic. There are other people that say, oh my God, this is life, because we are made of good and bad things, right? We are humans. Yes. And Naples is exactly the representation of what we are in each sense. I mean, in a good part and in a bad part. And I think if you like this kind of places, that's the place for you. If you like Switzerland, probably Naples
I can agree with you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's not probably the place in which you feel at home. If you like South America, if you like Rome, because I think Rome in many aspects, it's very similar to Naples. If you like Sicily, okay, Naples, it's a place in which you have to come.
Absolutely. I do agree with you that it is a place that is that you feel an authentic experience. And I remember something else that I really enjoy about Naples is the fact that it isn't filled with tourists. The people who are in the industry of working in bars and whatnot, the people that you deal with on a one-on-one basis are very polite. The Neapolitans are extremely gregarious. You feel very, very welcome. They're very happy to have you come over there. You know, in the bars, the people are just so friendly. In my opinion,
you know why, Rob? You know why? It's not just because Basically, obviously, I'm not talking about, I'm doing a generalization. So this could be probably something that it could, for the most part of the people, but we also have rude people and bad people here, like everywhere else, and unpolite. But when you are a tourist, so if you come in a bar and they understand that you are not a local, they are very kindly surprised that you are coming. Because for us, the tourism is something new, because Naples has been always like the most part of the people are just skipping. Naples, and they go somewhere else. So when they stop here, for us, it's a way to say, look, this is a place in which you have to come. This is a place in which you have to discover, because we have so much to offer that we are very happy to share. And I notice, even when I walk in the middle of the streets, I live in the Spanish district that is a very working class neighborhood. And now a lot of tourists are finally coming to see this other authentic part of my town. I notice a lot of a very old people. They are not speaking in English, but they are trying to communicate with the tourists, to say them, to give them suggestions, to say them where they have to go and buy a good pizza or a good coffee. It's a way for us to be, it's not just part of how we live. Because if you live here and you need something, you could be sure that everybody will be ready to help you. This is our attitude, normal attitude. But with the tourist, it's even more, because they knew that it's a stranger. It's not a local, and probably they need more help than a local. It's a very strange attitude that probably as a Neapolitan, it's very easy to understand. For a tourist, it's not so much. It happens to me that I stop people in the middle of the streets asking, do you need something? They look at me very suspicious at the beginning, because it's not something that happens everywhere. But then when I say, look, I'm just here to help you if you need it. And they say, oh, yes, please, please, please. And I notice in the face that they are very surprised. I don't know if this, I think it's happening everywhere, that people are very kind. But here, it's like everywhere, everything else, it's a little bit too much. Kindness, it's a little bit too much. Rudeness, it's a little bit too much. Noisy, it's a little bit too much. This is a place of too much, I think. I don't know if you agree.
Well, no, well, too much in a good way for me.
Yeah. But even noisy, it's too much. I mean, this is a noise. Yeah, this is a noisy place. I mean, if you like silent, oh my God, you have to skip Naples. If you like silent area, you have to go somewhere else. But obviously, humans are not silent, the most part of them. And so, as I told you before, this is a place in which humans are very present. I don't know if it's clear.
Absolutely. So, we're going to be talking about also the video. I just got to show you our TE Destinations video about Naples Center. So hopefully more people want to see it. So your thoughts about the process, because when I went to Naples for the first time, in fact, a lot of what I made sure that we filmed was a lot of my first experiences there, especially also these lovely shops for the foods. And I went with a friend who had read a book called The Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, and that they talked about this bar. And the man even described the barista, who wasn't there the day we filmed, but he still worked there because he has one eye. Basically, the other eye is white. And that it was a perfect bar to do the Neapolitan coffee done the Neapolitan style, which was lovely.
Yes, and you know that Neapolitan coffee, it's in Naples, we have a long tradition about coffee. I mean, even if here we have no coffee growing, clearly the coffee that we have, it's arriving from the South America. But what makes the coffee special here, it's obviously the way in which we create the coffee, in which we work with the coffee, and especially the machine that makes the coffee. And the coffee has the secret that should be, as we say in Neapolitan, come cazzo coscia. That means that it should be very hot. Literally, come cazzo coscia, it means how fucking is hot. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit rude, but the cap should be hot, very hot, so much that sometimes you can have problem with your lips. So you have to be very careful, because if the cap is hot, the coffee.
That's hysterical.
It's really hysterical, but also the coffee should be very hot. If you don't get a hot coffee in Naples, means that the coffee is absolutely undrinkable, as we say, and you ask to the guy, to the barista, to make another one. You could be very upset. And another important aspect for our coffee, I don't know if your experience, it was like that. You have to drink water before. Sometimes people drinking water after, but that's not correct. The drinking water is before, because you have to clean your palate, because the coffee is usually after breakfast or eventually after lunch or after dinner. So you have to clean your palate from what you have. Then it's a good way for us to taste the coffee. The coffee should be like a ritual. It's a ritual moment. You have to do something like that. I don't know if it's clear from my noise, but however, that's the moment in which you can taste it. And after that, obviously, you don't have to drink again. But you are allowed to do it. They will look at you very strangely if you are drinking after, but however.
Dear. And of course, we also enjoy, that's the other thing, as you said, if you want to experience the life in a certain way that isn't only just tourism, that you want to get into a certain experience, that is absolutely so true, because you can go to these shops that are just filled with Neapolitans. You can eat the food, which is so wonderful. There's so many different great aspects. The pizza is another thing that we got to try out there. Now, we tried to go to Da Michele, but there's a huge line of Neapolitans if we didn't have time. So we went around the corner and we still had fantastic pizza.
Usually it's hard to find a bad pizza here, but at the same time, I have to tell you that the even about the pizza, for us, we are very, we are not very easy with the food. This is, I think it's very Italian. Italians are believing that the food is good just in Italy. This is an aspect that we got with us when we travel, for example. When we travel abroad, we were supposed to have, but however, we got this problem. But you live in Italy, so you can understand what I meant. About the pizza is exactly the same. We believe that the best pizza is just here. I don't want to say that the best pizza is just here, but for us, the pizza is something very different from the other city in Italy. If I compare with the ones that you can get in Rome, the pizza in Rome, we call it focaccia because it's crispy. Here it should be soft. And the 99% of the place in which you go, you can get a good experience. And it's also, that's what I love to say, I think it's also very democratic, the pizza. In which sense? It's never very expensive. You can even get a pizza before with the lira, it was super cheap. Now it's growing the price everywhere here too, but the pizza is for everybody. The pizza is something that everybody need to have. And you probably heard about la pizza sospesa. Sometimes if you go in a bar and you want to pay an extra pizza, even if you didn't get it, you can leave this pizza for someone that has no money to buy a pizza for himself. He sit down, he asks to the owner, there is a pizza sospesa for me? They say, yes, there is. They sit down, they eat the pizza and they go away. So you share your pizza with the universe because you never meet the people that are going to have your pizza. This is for the pizza, this is for the coffee, but this is also, for example, now with the toys during Christmas time, that I think it's something fantastic and gives you information about the way in which we live. We share very much. So much that probably you really don't have intimacy. You really don't have privacy, we can say. But at the same time, sharing is also a way to, to stay together and also to share the bad things that sometimes happen in life, like poverty, for example.
Sure. That's incredible because I remember reading about the caffè sospeso, but
even the pizza, caffè sospeso, pizza sospesa, and giocattolo sospeso are toys. Yeah, these are the three things. These are usually for Christmas time. A lot of shops they write down outside. Here you can buy or you can take giocattolo sospeso. So someone is leaving, their things, and you clearly. You can use your money. If you're rich, clearly. And then it's also very personal. If you are a good person, obviously you are not going in a shop if you are able to buy something and you are getting a toy for free. So it's very personal. It's like everything else. Like you do something and then you are going to face your consciousness, no? But however, it's something that I like very much of my town.
Oh, well, it's one of the few aspects. There's so many different ones, right?
Absolutely.
So were we able to get in some of your favorite places to eat? We were trying to get in some of the places that are famous, I guess, for chocolate or also for the pastries or gambarinos, which is so elegant too. And I think that a thing that you did also mention is that Naples is so unique because, as you mentioned, poverty, because you have vast wealth, but you also have poverty, and everyone kind of lives together. It's not like there are too many segregated neighborhoods out there, right? You have everyone kind of right next to each other.
Absolutely. And another incredible thing is that it's not like a place in which, you have a rich neighborhood and then all over a far away poor neighborhood. No, it's everything together. In the historical center, you have this incredible building date back to 14th, 15th, 16th century. And clearly close by people living in the so-called bassi, that is the like a sort of underground level or the same level of the streets in which the people are living in a very bad conditions. At the same time, you have a very large street called Via Toledo, in which royal palaces, and close by you have the Spanish districts where I live, that is a very working class neighborhood. The only place in which you really don't have poverty is up on the hill. It's called Posillipo, from the Greek Pausilipon, that means stop to the pain, because it's the best place for the view. The view is fantastic, and all this villa has the private beaches. So Naples, it's a one city in which the people can live very different experience as a citizen, but also as a tourist. It depends on what you like to do, and what you prefer for yourselves.
Amazing. So I remember that we also did get up to the top to see the views from the wonderful castle.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is also where the famous Goethe got up to see when he said, "See Naples and die."
And die, yes. Yeah, this sometimes the people are misinterpreting this sentence because obviously Goethe was saying, "See Naples and then die," because if you don't see Naples, you really don't have seen the world. That's what he mean. But however, people instead, sometimes they believe that it was not a good sentence. But however, apart that, what I think is that, yes, Castel Sant'Elmo is one. That's exactly the one where you have been. That is on the top of the hill, not Posillipo, but Vomero. That's another hill of Naples. And on the top of that hill, this fortress was used by the French during the French domination that was in the Middle Age, 13th and 14th century, just to control the port. That was exactly down to the city. But however, today it's a wonderful museum, and close by, you also have another fantastic place that is still a museum, that it was a convent monastery for monks that is called La Certosa di San Martino. Both are absolutely fantastic, inside and outside. Outside, you can get a view from the castle of 36 degrees. So everything is visible from that part. And in the video, you also can see the hill of Posillo that I was talking about before, that is exactly in front of the castle, in the other side, respect to the Mount Vesuvius. You have from one side the Mount Vesuvius, and from the other side, clearly you have the hill of, that is also part of a supervolcano, because we don't have just the Mount Vesuvius. We have a Mount Vesuvius on one side and the supervolcano on the other side. That's why we are so crazy, because we live between two big volcanoes. It's a super volcano in the north of city of Naples that it's called, the name of this super volcano is Phlegrean Fields. That means burning land. Phlegreos, that comes from the Greek, and that was for them the entrance to the underworld. It's still active, but we are living under the sky, as we say. Carpe diem, live day by day, don't think too much about the future. Otherwise, how we can justify the idea that we live between two big volcanoes?
Yeah, I didn't even realize that the second one, there was a second volcano. That is crazy. It's even crazier than I thought. My God. Because Vesuvius just kind of dominates everywhere. It's so beautiful to see.
Yeah.
Gosh,
The other one is underground. So it's not so dominating, and it's also more dangerous because it's 24 volcanoes underground. It's like Yellowstone, more or less. But don't think too much about that, so because otherwise you will be afraid to come. But however, it's very controlled, so that's important.
Well, listen, Andrea, a few of the other things that we did notice that I think were so wonderful was we can talk about, you mentioned, you brought up Christmas, and you brought up the idea of the toys. And Christmas is actually a very important tradition in Naples that has been not copied, but, affected the rest of Italy, is the presepe, the nativity scene. And we captured some of those shots. So could you tell us about the tradition a little bit?
You have to consider that the tradition of nativity scenes was starting, from the time of St. Francis, not clearly Naples, but all around the country. St. Francis, he started to make the nativity as a moment to recreate, the moment in which Jesus Christ was born. At the beginning, the statues were very big. They were natural size, like humans. Just in the Baroque time, so 17th century, here there was a very huge transformation that was clearly made by the idea that was not anymore the moment of Jesus Christ, but was the moment in which, Naples in the Baroque time in which Jesus Christ was born. So it's a very strange conception. It's not anymore the idea of having a Jesus Christ moment or a Christian moment, but it's the life of Naples in which Jesus Christ is going to born. So it's the second step. I mean, the most important is Naples. It's all the pastori, that is, or all the characters. And then you can also see Jesus Christ. That's why Jesus Christ is never in a stable, but usually it's under a building, because in the 18th century, there was the neoclassicism because of the discovery of Pompeii and Herculaneum. That's why today you can see different presidents of different countries, because it's our society going inside, the situation. It's affecting many different things, that they were, that they were creating something new. But what is incredible about nativity scenes is that it's nothing to do with Bethlehem. It's Naples or the surrounding of Naples in which Jesus Christ is going to born. And what is incredible is that we still do the pastori, so the character with the same identical technique, that is terracotta. Then you have the eyes made of glasses and the skeleton made of iron. So that's another incredible things that you can get. So that's why the prices are very high, but they are piece of art. I mean, they are not like, small things that you can find everywhere. It's something that is unique.
It truly is. And you mentioned about presidents being part of it. That's right. There's always we got a shot of the table because I think there's some of these tables that sell famous real life figures, politicians.
Exactly. That's why exactly what I was talking. It's because obviously this was the way in which they are, they are reproposing this kind of figures, because it's the way in which we are influenced, and that's why.
Perfect. Well, to round things up, Andrea, I think it would be lovely to finish up and we could talk. There is so much one could talk about Naples. And I want to let our listeners know that if you go to our Facebook page, you can see on our videos that Andrea had done a wonderful job during the pandemic of doing live streams of walking around various neighborhoods in the center of Naples, which was some of the most popular videos that we ever had in those series. And they are quite spectacular.
Thank you.
Yes, they are. What I wanted to say was to talk about the cloister of Santa Chiara and the painted tiles.
Yes, the cloister of Santa Chiara, it's a cloister that was remade in the 18th century, because at the beginning, that place is at 1340 originally. So that was all the structure, the church and the monastery that was made for the nuns. Monastery in Italian means place closed to the public. Nobody were allowed to come in. And obviously in the 18th century, when the nuns were very rich, because obviously they were obliged to be in a monastery, they were obliged to live their life because that was the rule That was the law. The second daughter of each family were obliged to go into the convent or monastery with no choices. And that was very bad, but however, they brought a lot of money. And in the 1739, the abbess, her name was Ippolita Carmignano, she said, I'm going to celebrate myself and all the beautiful nuns living here. That was the best of the aristocracy of the south of Italy. That's why the monastery of Santa Chiara was named Il Real Monastero di Santa Chiara. That means the monastery belonging to the kingdom of Naples, to celebrate, the life outside. And they made these tiles, benches and columns, just to leave what they really can't leave. That was the reason why. But however, it's fantastic, and it's a way in which you have to go to lose a little bit yourselves. I think it's very nice because it's a unique example. In Italy, you have something similar. If you go, for example, in cities like Sevilla, but the difference is that here you can get any kind of colors. Instead, in Portugal or south of Spain, it's more about blue. That's why they call it azulejos or azulejos. A little bit different.
Yeah, they truly are unique. And I don't think I've ever seen any place quite like that cloister. And as you say, one can lose themselves by going in there. It's quite spectacular and should not be missed if someone comes to Naples. I think the cloister is really unique in the world. I don't think I've ever seen a place that's quite like it.
In Italy, for sure. It's really unique. Also because you have to consider that there are not so many places, in terms of weather, that could have the opportunity to get out the tiles outside, because obviously you have to be sure they are not going to be destroyed. And just in the south of Italy, it's possible. Even just in Rome, for example, it will be sometimes a little bit too cold to get these tiles outside.
Absolutely. So if you had others, is there anything else that you think that people should go see that we didn't get in the video?
Obviously, the video is fantastic, but it's a synthetic aspect of the town. What I recommend for the people to go is to have a walk in the Spanish district where I live, is to lose themselves in the Quartiere Sanità, where there are beautiful buildings of the 18th century. If they have time, they can't skip to visit the Archaeological Museum of Naples, that it's the best archaeological museum, according to the archaeologists, from the 2nd century BC to 2nd century AD, or even Capodimonte Museum, in which we have one of the most important paintings collection, if you like them. We have all the most important, painters of Italy, coming from the Middle Age till the modern time, till the contemporary period. So it's a place in which you have to stay, and in which you have to lose yourselves, I think.
I totally agree. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
More than welcome. It's just a pleasure to talk about my place. So you know that.
Of course. And please remember, everybody, to check out Through Eternity at througheternity.com. You can also find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube, of course, to see these videos, and even on TikTok. We're starting to use TikTok as well. So ci sentiamo, ci vediamo presto, I hope, Andrea, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Grazie. Bye-bye to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our TE Talks with Guides. We have a new episode every Wednesday. Please subscribe to get an alert when each podcast comes out. Rate us and tell people how you enjoyed it, and share it on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Most importantly, if you enjoyed it, send us a feedback about the show. Also, if you are curious about what some of these people and places we talked about look like, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch the video on this podcast, where we have inserted special images for you to further enjoy the story.